rebellious are born. Resistance is futile. Your life, as it has been, is over. From this time forward, you will service us.
Welcome back to Barn Find Aerospace. We try not to get too particular around here, but we did like the idea of being able to control where the airplane goes. You gotta have aileron cables for that, and you gotta have fancy tools to make aileron cables. So we set off to visit Uncle Aaron, who teaches at the airplane fixin' school. This had the double advantage of getting our paws on the right tool, plus someone who actually knows how to use them right.
What you're going to do is give yourself a big loop to start with, right? And then you just kind of gently wiggle that down in there. There we go. Okay. Then we get our thimble in here, and then we can pull it down, and then you can start working it down.
Uncle Aaron walked a mechanical daughter through the steps and then turned the job over to her. She's got kind of a knack for this stuff, hence the name Mechanical Daughter.
That's just right. You got your little ridges right there. You got a little ridge at both ends. That's beautiful. That's perfect.
Before you know it, she got all the aileron cables made for the whole plane. Then it was back to the barn to install the cables in the same right wing we've been working on since the dawn of time. Then bolt them onto the aileron bell crank, castle nuts, and cotter pins to hold them on there, and there you go. Flight controls, so you fly where you want to fly. What do they think of next? The Bearhawk has 2 fuel tanks in each wing, main and auxiliary. Gotta have plumbing for them, so we set off to making our fuel lines. The fuel line has to be cut to length, ends cleaned up, and flared. But you gotta put the fittings on before you make the flare, don't forget. The fuel line comes rolled up in a circle. This here is one way to straighten it back out. You gotta use a special bender for fuel lines, because otherwise they'll pinch off. Now cut it to length, clean up the end, and put the flare on there. Then cut off that flare because you forgot to put the fittings on. Now put the fittings on and make another flare. And that's how you get the aux tank hooked up to the aux tank pump. Sometimes the only way to figure out how to do a job right is to try all the different wrong ways to do it, like this here vent line connector. With a basic misunderstanding of the letter T, Dad went off on a tangent, making a totally unnecessary S, or kind of a backwards S, to account for things needing connecting that don't line up. So what was this genius nocturnal epiphany? Let's slow down and see what Dad figured out. As it turns out, you can flip a T over on its side. And then you don't need a S anymore, because a simple L will do. Now here's Mechanical Daughter drilling the holes and putting in the grommets for the vent line to the aux tank is going to run. Everywhere you run a fuel line through anything metal, you gotta have a grommet to keep it from wearing itself through. Did you ever notice how some words start sounding ridiculous if you say them over and over again?
Grommet, 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 grommet,
Oh yeah, about that vent line. Whenever you make a hole bigger than an inch through a rib, you're supposed to make a backer to reinforce it. This hole didn't really need to be bigger than an inch, at least not if we got it in the right place off the bat, but now it's too big, so we need a backer. So fabricate the plate. Drill, deburr, and dimple the rivet holes, and then rivet it on in there. Then Mechanical Daughter drilled the holes and put in the grommets from the aux fuel tank pump over to the main tank. Hook that line on up to the fuel pump on this side and the main tank on the other, and now the right wing fuel system is all in place. Getting ready to close this wing up, we've been vacuuming a lot because pretty soon it isn't going to be easy to get inside of here. Well, let's ask AI about that.
Riveting is a great word. It basically means something that's so interesting or exciting that it completely holds your attention. So if a book or a speech is riveting, you just can't look away.
Next up was the interesting and exciting process of riveting the underside wing skins on. But this gets tricky when you got to get to the other side of the rivet with the bucking bar. That crazy chicken lady could fit in underneath the skin just fine, but she had a hard time reaching up to the highest row. So then we tried Dad underneath and that crazy chicken lady coming over the top, but that didn't work out so well either. Mechanical Daughter and Dad finally teamed up for the top couple few rows that are hard to reach. But then it got to where he couldn't reach down far enough. Looky here, there's another grommet.
grommet, 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 grommet.
Some rivets can be got at through the inspection panels. As always, you get some bad ones you gotta drill out and do them over. When sheet metal gets drilled and dimpled too much, it'll get mad and not want to lay flat. We don't claim to being real metal wizards, but there are a few tricks short of the supernatural you can try and get it back to where it's a little more cooperative. Then there was a while Dad had to cram up underneath and have that crazy chicken lady reach over the top with the air hammer because Dad's arms were longer.
You on?
I'm on.
Okay, I'm on. A little more.
Some of the bad ones don't want to just drill out. When they're real cantankerous, sometimes you gotta call in our old friend, the red pokey thing. We kept working our way down towards the trailing edge, and eventually we got to where only that crazy chicken lady's hands were teensy enough to reach in through them little bitty holes in the rear spar. But don't worry, she brought her borescope to keep up with the quality control.
That's gonna have to be redone.
Yeah, that doesn't look quite right.
But that one, the one, this way looks good.
Yeah, that looks good. Sometimes out on the edges, you just need real long fingers, so Dad got after those ones. But then there's some of them where you just can't get at the other side no matter what you do. You may remember what we said about pop rivets way back in episode 4. The aviation world tends to look down on pop rivets like that distant cousin who isn't quite right. There is one kind of pop rivets that's okay to use on airplanes if you're willing to pay for them. $1.35 doesn't sound that bad until you gotta buy a bag of 100. So, yeah, it's worth trying real hard before you give up and reach for the max rivets. We were hoping to get this wing all done by the end of this episode, but not quite. We're getting real close, though. See you soon.